Welcome to Blueprints Unsealed, a series of reflections and thought depicting a life and times of society's most influential people, ideas, and culture. In this segment, prepare to roll up your sleeves as we get into the dark truth about the U.S. government. The most powerful tool for an informed citizen is information, and with the advancement of technology, data has become more accessible across all corners of the globe. Using the internet, mobile devices, and satellite systems has given us the ability to send information at lightning speeds. In an age where popular ideas has become the potential to go viral, social media to a great extent has galvanized the public. However, it has also brought unintended consequences. The subjective viewpoints from both left and right affiliated networks has made it very difficult for people to ascertain the truth from fiction. In the quest for knowledge, the wisest teachers has always taught that true knowledge is not about having all the answers, but more importantly, it involves asking the right questions. In schools, we are taught that our country is a democracy, but is this correct? In addition, we are constantly assured that agencies such as the TSA and FDA are here to protect us. Should we believe this? Did you know there are certain policies and laws passed by Congress that are in sharp contrast to policies passed around the world as it relates to our food safety, as well as our exposure to harmful substances that our government deems acceptable, while the rest of the world find this very act not only offensive but criminal? Let's take a closer look at some of the most darkest truths the government has been hiding from the public. In response to the terrorist attacks of 9/11, President Bush signed into law the Aviation and Transportation Security Act that formed the TSA. Their primary focus is on airport security and the prevention of aircraft hijackings. However, their duties also extends to protecting the U.S. transportation system in a broader sense, including highways, railroads, buses, mass transit systems, ports, and pipelines. The TSA works in tandem with local, state, and other federal agencies to complete its objectives. They have implemented an abundance of procedures geared to airport security, including passport and ID check, screening carry-on luggage, walk-through metal detectors, and their newest arsenal of gadgets, full-body imaging systems. According to the TSA, the imaging technology most commonly used at U.S. airports consists of a harmless electromagnetic waves to detect potential threats, which are highlighted as a generic outline of a person appearing on a monitor attached to the unit. Safety concerns from the public prompted the following TSA response. Advanced imaging technology is safe and meets the national health and safety standards. In fact, the energy emitted by millimeter wave technology is 1,000 times less than the international limits and guidelines. However, the website failed to give the exact details of the energy emitted by the imaging technology. But what do we know? Is that the machine emits X-rays, and that can be harmful to the body. How does the U.S. use of X-ray imaging compare to other countries' scanning systems? For starters, any country that is part of the European Union can only operate scanners which do not use ionizing radiation. According to the EU, the use of X-ray scanners has potential risks that can cause unnecessary harm to the public at large. Experts suggest that when the U.S. started implementing the X-ray scanning at airports, it was done based on top FDA radiation physics staff findings. However, it appears that real independent safety data does not exist. Experts are also concerned that the FDA approval of these machines were premature and not based on substantial testing. Overall, the red flags regarding the use of X-ray scanning systems have a great potential for health issues that can have irrevocable long-term health consequences to the health of people that far exceeds the potential benefit of increased detection of terrorists. So here we have a system the US deems safe, whereas the Europeans are concerned about the potential harm. Who do you side with? The quality of food that is consumed today has evolved over the centuries. Back in the 1900s, refrigerators did not exist. Therefore, food had to be fresh and freshly prepared. Certain foods that are regularly consumed today were not a staple in the early 1900s. Chicken meat was a delicacy, and eggs were considered a luxury meal. The fact is, raising chickens proved to be a very hard challenge, to such an extent that it was not a profitable business endeavor. Back then, chickens were not kept in separate coops. They only consumed hearty meals on occasions. Winters were especially brutal to their health, which all led to a high mortality rate. The prospect of selling chickens started to drastically improve during the 1920s. At this time, vitamin D was discovered, and the health benefits were understood. When this supplement was given to chickens during the winter months, the mortality rate started to decline, and the chickens began producing an abundance of healthy eggs. Over the decades, the production of chickens went through so many advancements, and by the 1950s, chicken meat and eggs were no longer considered a luxury food. Prices dropped, and the industrial production companies outcompeted family owned businesses. At the same time, production companies started to mass produce chickens to the point of overproductions, whereas they started using growth hormones, and overcrowded chicken cages led to diseases and food poisoning. To combat these issues, production industries resulted to injecting chickens with antibiotics. Today, scientists have shown that antibiotics is very harmful to your health and can have adverse effects such as a weakened immune system, increases cancer risk, and it can harm kidney functions. In addition, studies have shown that the use of antibiotics has led to the rise of antibiotic resistant superbugs and human health linked to farms. The European Parliament has made numerous strides in reducing the use of antibiotics in livestock to near elimination of its use altogether. In fact, the European Union has recently passed additional laws to go into effect as early as 2022 that bans the use of antibiotics for animals that are important for human medicine and prohibits the use of any antimicrobials in livestock without a prescription from a vet. Meanwhile, the United States is well behind. Although the FDA has since made the use of antibiotics for growth promotion illegal and put antibiotics use for prevention under the control of a veterinarian, many public health advocates have warned antibiotics will continue to be abused from a lack of enforcement policies and the omission of substantial language that will be needed to make the law effective. However, it appears that the U.S. government is prioritizing big business over the health of its citizens. In addition, the U.S. continues to allow production companies to include other harmful additives to our food, such as artificial food coloring that makes junk food more appealing to kids and has shown to make kids hyperactive. The FDA has also allowed the use of growth hormones in certain medicines, which studies have shown can cause prostate, breast, and cancers, as well as tumors. Arsenic is an additive used to promote growth, kill parasites, and improve pigmentation of the meat. Studies have shown that long-term exposure to arsenic results in lower IQ scores, higher rates of skin, bladder, and lung cancer, as well as heart disease. The list of other additives is lengthy, and I will encourage everybody to do your own research. Of course, the use of these harmful substances are strictly prohibited in other countries, such as the EU. In fact, the use of any banned additives in food in Singapore can result to a 15-year jail sentence and a fine of $450,000. The U.S. Constitution is the cornerstone that establishes the framework of the government. Although many believe the U.S. to be a democracy, this is not the total truth. Under Article 4, Section 4 of the U.S. Constitution, it establishes a republican form of government. There are some similarities between a democracy and a republic, but there are also some marked differences. For one, a democracy is a form of government in which the majority rules. To quantify it, you need at least 51% of the votes to lead. This is the equivalent to winning the popular vote during presidential elections. Also, a true democracy involves its citizens beyond just selecting a president, but choosing and voting on laws that should be passed. The state of California operates on this premise. People who live in California have the right to initiate legislation through the ballot initiative or repeal legislation through the veto referendum. On the other hand, a republic is a form of government in which people elect their representatives. This process essentially hands over the people's right to choose. The founding fathers were well aware between the distinctions of a democracy and a republic, and the truth is, they despised democracy and held firmly the belief that a functional deficiency of a democracy is unprotected majority rule or tyranny of the majority. In fact, the word democracy appears nowhere in either the Declaration of Independence or the Constitution. Furthermore, the Electoral College, a concept that's contradictory to a democracy, became a permanent fixture to our government through compromise. In short, the Electoral College was devised to give a candidate that did not have the popular vote a real chance at winning their presidential election. In recent times, the Electoral College has been the sole reason why Republican candidates such as George W. Bush and Donald Trump was able to win the U.S. presidency, even though they both lost the popular vote. The topic of abolishing the Electoral College has always been highly contested because it goes against the will of the people. The Electoral College has proven only to benefit southern states that had a smaller population of people. Basically, it effectively made the vote count of southern states worth more than the vote count of their northern counterparts. With so much misinformation circulating on the web, taught in our schools, and written in the textbooks, one can only conclude that these acts are intentional. Perhaps teaching the concept that America is a democracy helps maintain the status quo, since navigating a democratic system is vastly different than how one would approach a republican system. Let's reiterate, in a democracy, power lies in the majority, while in a republic, the power of the minority is prioritized over the majority. The irony here rests on the idea that our grievances, laid out in the Declaration of Independence, consist of King George not doing what is in the best interest of the public good, but to the contrary, neither does the Electoral College, FDA, TSA, or the government as a whole. I hope you enjoyed. Please leave a like and share this video with a friend.